Ta stood at the viewing window of Korea's orbital research station. His hand shook as he watched his home burn. Earth, once blue and green, now had angry red wounds that spread across its surface. Chief Science Officer Ta, we need to leave now. Captain Da's voice was firm but kind. The Naru ships will reach our position in 20 minutes. Ta could not look away from Earth. 2 weeks ago, the alien ships had appeared without warning. They came from the darkness between stars, massive vessels that blocked the sun. The nations of Earth had tried to talk peace. The Naru had answered with fire. The dragons, Ta whispered. I never thought they would be so perfect. The Naru's greatest weapons were not their ships or guns. They were the dragons, giant winged creatures with thick scales and bodies built for war. Each one breathed blue fire that melted steel and stone. They flew in perfect lines, attacking targets with cold precision. They never broke rank, never hesitated. They followed every order without question. Ta had seen the footage from Seoul before it went dark. The dragons had lined up in the sky, hundreds of them, and breathed fire as one. The city was ash in minutes. Sir, please, we have the samples secured, but we must leave now. This time, it was Min who spoke. She was Ta's best researcher and the only other survivor from his team. Ta nodded and finally turned away from the window. Their small group hurried through the station's empty halls. Only 12 people remained alive on what had once been home to over 300 scientists. They reached the docking bay where the ship waited. It was not built for war or speed. It was a research vessel designed for long trips to the outer planets. Now it would carry the last hopes of humanity. Is everything on board? Ta asked as they entered the ship. Min nodded. All the DNA samples are secure. The embryos too. The stasis systems are working perfectly. Ta felt a small bit of hope. For 10 years, his team had worked on Project Dragon. They had found old dragon DNA frozen in ice deep under the mountains. The project had started as a simple study. Then they had tried to bring back the ancient creatures. Not as weapons, but as partners. The Naru attacked before any eggs could hatch. The ship rumbled as Captain Dai started the engines. On the screens, they could see 3 Naru ships turning toward them. On each ship's side, small doors opened. Dragons began to pour out like angry bees from a hive. They're launching dragons, Min said. Her voice shook with fear. Ta watched the creatures fly in perfect formation. Each one the same size, each one moving in the exact same way. They were not animals. They were machines made of flesh and bone. Our path is set for Proxima B, Captain Da called out. It's our best chance for a new home. Hold on, this will be rough. The ship shot forward as the first dragon reached them. Its blue fire hit the back of the ship. Alarms rang out. The ship shook hard. Engines damaged but holding, reported Jun, the engineer. We can still make the jump. The stars blurred as the ship entered faster than light travel. The dragons and their fire were left behind. Earth grew smaller on their screens until it was just a burning dot. Ta looked at the container holding their precious cargo. Inside were the dragon eggs his team had created. Unlike the Naru dragons, these embryos had not been made to obey. They had been designed to think, to feel, to choose. They destroyed our world, Ta said quietly. But we will survive. And someday, we will return. Min placed her hand on the container. And we won't come alone. 10 years had passed since Earth fell. The red dust of Proxima B swirled outside the thick windows of the underground base. The planet was not kind to humans. Its air was too thin to breathe. Its days were too hot and its nights too cold. But it was home now to the 3,000 people who had escaped Earth. Commander Jun walked through the narrow halls of the colony. Men and women nodded to him with respect as he passed. He had kept them safe for 10 years. He had built this place from nothing but hope and hard work. Commander, we need you in the control room, said a voice over his comm unit. There's a message you must hear. When June reached the control room, 5 people stood around a screen. Ty was there, his hair now white with age. Next to him stood the colony's council members. "Play it again," Jun said. The screen showed only static, but a voice came through clearly. "This is Lieutenant Yun of Earth Defense Ship Horizon. If anyone can hear this, we need help. We escaped Earth 10 years ago with 50 people. Now we are down to 20. The Naru found us. We are hiding in the tourist sector, but they hunt us. Our food is low. Our ship is failing. Please, if humans still live, help us." The message ended. The room was quiet. "We must help them," Jun said simply. "It's too dangerous," said one council member. "If we send a ship, the Naru might follow it back here. We have children now. Families. We can't risk everyone for 20 people." Jun looked at Ta. "What do you think, old friend?" Ta had been quiet, but his eyes were sharp. "I think we must help, but there is something else you should see first." Ta led Jun deep underground, past the colony's living areas, to a secure door that needed both their handprints to open. Beyond the door was a large room that felt warm and humid like an Earth summer. In the center of the room sat 5 large eggs in a special container. "They're ready," Ta said with pride in his voice. "After 10 years of work, the dragon eggs are ready to hatch." Jun looked at the eggs with wonder. Each was the size of his chest, with shells that glowed softly in different colors. "Are you sure they will help us? They won't be like the Naru dragons." Ta shook his head. "The Naru breed their dragons to follow orders without thought. Our dragons will be different. They will think. They will choose. And I believe they will choose to fight with us, not for us." "How long until they hatch?" "Days, maybe hours. And when they do, they will need to bond with humans right away." Jun thought for a moment. "We have young pilots in training. They could work with the dragons, grow with them." "Yes," Tai agreed. "Young minds will connect better." Their talk was cut short by alarms. Red lights flashed throughout the base. They rushed back to the control room. On the main screen, they saw a small ship entering their system. "It's not Naru," reported the scanner operator. It's human. It's the Horizon." Joy spread through the room, but Jun remained cautious. "How did they find us without coordinates?" "They were followed," Ta said, pointing to another blip on the screen. "That's a Naru scout ship." Jun made his decision quickly. "Prepare our defense ships. We'll rescue the Horizon and destroy that scout before it can report back." He turned to Ta. "And get those eggs ready. I think we're going to need those dragons sooner than we thought." Ta nodded and hurried back to his lab. As he entered, he saw that one egg, the bright blue one, was already cracking. "Right on time," he whispered. Captain Hannah gripped the controls of her ship, the Swift Wing. It was the fastest ship the colony had, though that wasn't saying much. It had been built from parts of the original escape vessels, and whatever they could mine from Proxima B. "5 minutes until we reach the Horizon's position," said her co-pilot, Gil. Hannah nodded. Her team was small, just her, Gil, and 3 soldiers. Commander Jun had wanted to send more, but they couldn't risk it. If the Naru were setting a trap, the colony couldn't lose too many fighters. "There," Jill pointed at the screen. "I see them." The Horizon floated in the darkness near a field of asteroids. The ship looked badly damaged. Bird marks covered its hull, and one engine was completely gone. "And there's our other friend," Hannah said grimly. The Naru scout ship hovered about 10 miles from the Horizon. It was small for a Naru vessel, but still 3 times the size of Hannah's ship. "They haven't seen us yet," Jill said. "Their sensors are focused on the Horizon." "Good. Let's keep it that way." Hannah guided their ship behind a large asteroid. "Send the signal to the Horizon. Tell them to be ready to move the moment we attack." The plan was simple. Hit the Naru ship hard and fast, give the Horizon time to start its engines, and then all run back to the colony. Simple, but dangerous. "They're responding," Jill said. They say their engines are barely working. They'll need 3 minutes to start them. 3 minutes is a long time in a fight, one of the soldiers said quietly. Hannah knew he was right. We'll just have to be very distracting. She pushed the ship forward, coming out from behind the asteroid at full speed. The Swiftwing's guns fired at the Naru ship. The shots hit the Naru vessel, making it rock slightly. For a moment, Hannah thought they might have a chance. Then the side of the Naru ship opened. Dragons poured out into space. There were 5 of them, each the size of a small shuttle. Their bodies were covered in metal plates that helped them survive in space. Their wings were thin membranes that caught solar wind to help them move. Each had a rider in a sealed suit sitting between its shoulders. "Spirits of Earth," whispered Gil. "I've never seen them up close before." The dragons moved as one, turning together, flying in perfect formation toward the Swiftwing. "Evasive action," Hannah shouted, pulling the ship into a tight turn. The dragons followed without breaking formation. They moved like they were one creature with 5 bodies. Their riders never gave signals that Hannah could see, but the dragons never made a mistake. "They're so perfect," Jill said as he fired the ship's guns. "How do they move like that?" A blast from one dragon's mouth hit their ship. The Swiftwing shook hard. "They move like that because they have no choice," Hannah said through gritted teeth. "The Naru changed them, made them slaves to commands." She spun the ship in a wild loop, trying to shake off the dragons. 2 followed her exactly, matching her move for move. "The Horizon is starting its engines," Jill reported. 2 minutes more. "We might not have 2 minutes," Hannah said as another blast rocked their ship. Then she had an idea. "The asteroids. Follow me, dragons." She drove the Swiftwing straight into the asteroid field. The dragons followed, still in perfect formation. That was their weakness. They couldn't break formation even when they should. As Hannah weaved between 2 large rocks, the dragons tried to follow in their tight group. One crashed hard into an asteroid, its rider thrown into space. "It worked," Gil shouted. "The others are confused." The remaining dragons had paused, their perfect pattern broken. Their riders seemed to be giving them new orders. "The Horizon is moving," came a voice over the comm. "Lieutenant Yun says thank you." As the Horizon limped away, Hannah turned her ship to follow. "We're not clear yet," she warned. "Those dragons will be after us again soon." She was right. The dragons had reformed, now 4 instead of 5, and were speeding after both ships. "We won't outrun them," Jill said. "We don't need to outrun them," Hannah replied. "We just need to reach the colony. Commander June has a surprise waiting there." She thought of the dragon eggs Tai had shown them before they left, their hope for the future. "Let's go home," she said, pushing the engines to full power. Ta stood back as the blue egg cracked open. The room was warm and filled with steam. 5 young people stood in a half-circle, watching with wide eyes. They had been chosen from the colony's pilot training program, the best and brightest of the next generation. "Remember," Ta told them, "let the dragon choose. Do not try to force a bond." The egg split down the middle. A small head pushed through, dark blue with silver flecks around the eyes. Then came wings, wet and folded against a slender body. The baby dragon was the size of a large dog, but Ta knew it would grow quickly. The dragon looked at each person in the room, turning its head slowly. Its eyes were bright and aware in a way that made some of the young pilots step back. "It's so alert," whispered one boy. "Of course," said Ta. "These dragons were made to think, not just obey." The dragon's gaze stopped on a girl named Minja. She was the youngest of the group, only 16 years old. She did not step back when the dragon looked at her. Instead, she took a small step forward. The dragon made a soft chirping sound and moved toward her. "It's choosing," Ta said quietly. "Don't move, Minja." The dragon stopped in front of Minja. It raised its head, looking straight into her eyes. Then it made a sound like a purr and gently pushed its head against her hand. "Hello," Minja said softly. "I'm Minja." The dragon chirped again, a happy sound. "I think it needs a name," Minja said, looking at Ta. "That's your job now," he replied with a smile. "You've been chosen." As if on cue, the second egg, a deep green one, began to crack. Then the third, fourth, and fifth followed quickly. Each dragon hatched, looked around, and chose its human partner. By the end, all 5 young pilots stood with their dragons. Minja's blue dragon had curled its tail around her ankle, as if afraid she might leave. "I'll call you Stormwing," she decided, stroking its head. The dragon purred louder. Commander June entered the room and looked at the 5 pairs with wonder and hope. "They've all bonded," Ta told him. "Faster than I expected. These dragons are special, June. They seem to understand things they shouldn't know yet." "Will they be ready?" June asked. "Hannah's ship is returning with the horizon, but they have Naru dragons on their tail." "Ready to fight?" "No," Ta shook his head. "These dragons are just babies. They need time to grow, to learn." "How long?" "In nature, years, but I've designed them to grow faster. With proper food and care, maybe 3 months until they can fly. 6 months until they can carry a rider." June frowned. "We may not have 6 months, or even 3. As they spoke, alarms began to sound throughout the base. A voice came over the speakers. "Incoming ships. The Swift Wing and Horizon have entered our space. 4 Naru dragons in pursuit." The baby dragons lifted their heads at the sound of the alarm. Minja's dragon, Stormwing, made a low growling noise that didn't sound like it should come from such a small creature. "What was that?" Minja asked, looking at her dragon with surprise. Todd watched the baby dragon carefully. I think it knows who the enemy is. But that's not possible. It just hatched." "Unless," June started. "Unless what?" asked Ta. "Unless they remember," June said quietly. "From their DNA. The memory of what happened to Earth." Ta had not considered this. Genetic memory. That's just a theory. Stormwing growled again, louder this time. The other baby dragons joined in. "Theory or not," said Minja, "I think Stormwing hates the Naru, and it doesn't even know what they are yet." Ta looked at the 5 pairs. 5 young humans and 5 baby dragons, already so connected. What had he created? Dragons smart enough to think for themselves, yes, but also dragons that might be born with hate and the need for revenge. "We should get to the command center," Jun said. "Our defense ships are launching." As they left the hatching room, Ta noticed that all 5 dragons watched the door with intense focus, as if they could see through it to the battle that was coming. 3 years passed in the colony on Proxima B. The 5 dragons grew much faster than anyone expected. Within 6 months, they were the size of horses. After a year, they could carry their riders. Now, at 3 years old, they were massive creatures with wingspans of 30 feet. Minja stood on the training field with Stormwing. The dragon's blue scales shone in the red light of Proxima's sun. Minja, now 19, wore a flight suit made from materials they had mined from the planet's surface. "Ready?" she asked her dragon. Stormwing lowered his head and made a sound that was half purr, half growl. Minja didn't need to hear the sound to know the answer. She could feel it in her mind. That was the biggest surprise of all. About a year after the dragons hatched, the riders began to sense their dragon's thoughts. Not words, exactly, but feelings, images, and intentions. The bond between dragon and human had grown into something no one, not even Ta, had expected. "Let's show them what we can do," Minja said as she climbed onto Stormwing's back. The other 4 riders and their dragons lined up beside them. They were going to try a new formation today, something they had worked out together. Minja gave the signal, and all 5 dragons leaped into the air at once. Their wings beat powerfully, lifting them high above the training field. The thin air of Proxima B made flying harder, but the dragons had adapted to it. In the air, they moved as one team, but not in the rigid formation of the Naru dragons. Each pair, dragon and rider, flew their own path, yet somehow kept perfect space from the others. They dived, rolled, and turned in a dance that looked wild but was carefully planned. On the ground, Commander June watched with pride. Next to him stood Ta, his face lined with worry, despite the impressive display above. "What's wrong, old friend?" June asked. "They're doing amazingly well." Ta nodded. "Yes, they are. Too well, sometimes. The bond between rider and dragon. It's growing stronger every day. Isn't that what we wanted?" "Yes, but—" Ta paused. "I'm worried about what happens in battle. These dragons aren't just smart, June. They feel things deeply, especially anger." Above them, Stormwing let out a blast of flame that lit up the sky. The fire was not blue like the Naru dragons, but white-hot and much more powerful. "Look at that," Jun said with a hint of awe. "The Naru won't know what hit them." "That's what worries me," Tai admitted. "Our dragons hate the Naru. Truly hate them. And that hate seems to grow stronger, not weaker, with time." Before Jun could respond, alarms began to sound. Both men pulled out their comm units. "Commander," it was Captain Gill's voice, "a Naru scout ship has entered our system. It's approaching fast." "How did they find us?" June asked, already running toward the command center. "Unknown, sir, but they'll be in range in 10 minutes. Above them, the 5 dragons had stopped their training. All heads turned toward the sky, as if they could see the coming threat. Minju felt Stormwing's body tense beneath her. Through their bond, she sensed something new, a burning feeling that was both exciting and scary. "He wants to fight," she called down to Ta. "They all do." Ta looked up at her with concern. "They're not ready. You've never been in real combat." But Minju could feel Stormwing's mind pushing against hers. Images flashed between them, earth burning, dragons with blue fire, death raining from the sky. Memories that weren't hers, memories that couldn't be his. "We're ready," she said firmly. Stormwing was born ready for this. As if to confirm her words, Stormwing let out a roar that shook the ground. The other dragons joined in, their voices blending into one mighty sound. June looked from the dragons to Tai, then made his decision. "Send them up. We have no choice." As Minjae and Stormwing flew toward the approaching Naru ship, she felt something strange through their bond. Not just anger or hate, but something deeper. Stormwing wasn't just eager to fight. He wanted revenge. Captain Hana and Lieutenant Yun stood before the colony council. 3 years had passed since their escape from the Naru scout ship. In that time, they had not been idle. "We found it," Hana said, placing a small data chip on the table. The location of the main Naru dragon breeding facility. The room fell silent. Commander June leaned forward. "How did you get this?" "We've been taking small ships out to the edge of their territory," Yun explained, watching their movements, studying their patterns. 2 months ago, we managed to place a tracker on a Naru supply ship." Hana nodded. "The ship led us to a planet in the Cygnus system. We couldn't get too close, but our long-range scans showed massive breeding chambers, hundreds of dragons." Ta, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "Did you learn anything about how they control their dragons?" "Yes," Yun said. "The Naru use command centers, special buildings filled with equipment that sends signals to chips in the dragon's brains. Each dragon has a chip that forces it to obey. If we could knock out those command centers," Jun began, "the dragons would be free," Hana finished, "or at least confused enough for us to get away." The council members exchanged looks. One woman spoke up. "This is valuable information, but what are you suggesting? We can't attack a Naru facility. We barely have enough ships to protect our colony." "We don't need ships," Jun said. "We need dragons." All eyes turned to the back of the room, where Minjae and the other 4 riders stood. Their dragons waited outside the building, too large to fit inside. "Our dragons are ready," Minja said. "We've been training for 3 years." "It's too dangerous," one council member argued. "We can't risk our only dragons." "We can't risk losing this chance," Jum countered. "The Naru are building a new generation of dragons. Bigger, stronger, and probably even more controlled than before. If we wait, they'll find us eventually." The debate went on for hours. In the end, they agreed on a plan. June would leave a small fleet as a distraction, drawing Naru forces away from the breeding facility. Meanwhile, Minjae and the other riders would take their dragons directly to the facility and plant explosives to destroy the command centers. As the meeting ended, Todd pulled Minjae aside. His face was serious. "There's something I need to tell you about the dragons," he said. "Something I've been studying." Minja followed him to his lab, where screens showed brain scans of all 5 dragons. "What am I looking at?" she asked. "Memories," Ta said. "Your dragons share memories, not just with you, but with each other. And some of these memories," he paused, "some of them seem to be from Earth, from before they were born." Minja thought of the images she sometimes saw through her bond with Stormwing, like the fall of Earth, the Naru attack. "Yes, but that's not all." Ta pointed to one scan. "This is Stormwing's brain when he sleeps. He dreams of other dragons, dragons in chains, dragons being hurt when they don't obey." "But how could he know that?" Minjae asked. "He's never seen a Naru dragon up close. I think our dragons remember things from their ancestors, not just Earth dragons, but maybe even Naru dragons too. They might all be connected somehow." Minja felt a chill. "So when Stormwing hates the Naru, it's not just instinct," Ta said. "It might be memory. Memory of what the Naru did to his kind." Outside, Stormwing let out a low rumble, as if he knew they were talking about him. "Be careful, Minja," Ta said. "In battle, the bond between you will be stronger than ever. Don't let his hate become yours." Minjae nodded, but she had already felt that hate. It burned in her sometimes, when she and Stormwing were most connected. "We leave tomorrow," she said. "I'll be careful." But as she walked outside to her dragon, she wondered if being careful would be enough. Stormwing's golden eyes watched her approach, and she felt his mind touch hers. Images flashed between them, planets burning, dragons in chains, and through it all, a deep burning need for justice. Or was it revenge? Space was cold and dark around Minja as Stormwing flew silently toward the Naru breeding facility. The dragon's body was warm beneath her, his scales glowing faintly in the starlight. Behind them flew the other 4 riders with their dragons. None of them spoke. They didn't need to. Their minds were linked through their dragons. Far away, Commander June led 3 ships in an attack on a Naru outpost. Reports came in through Minji's comm unit that the Naru had sent most of their forces to meet the attack. The breeding facility would be less guarded now. "We're approaching the planet," Minji sent through the mental link. "Remember the plan. We go in fast, plant the bombs at the command centers, and get out." The breeding facility planet was huge, with 3 moons. As they got closer, Minja could see buildings spread across its surface. In the center stood tall towers that had to be the command centers. "There," she thought, and Stormwing dived toward them. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the facility. The Naru had spotted them. "They know we're here," Minja sent to the others. "Move fast." Doors opened in the sides of buildings. Naru dragons poured out, at least 20 of them. They formed perfect lines in the air, waiting for orders. Stormwing growled, the sound vibrating through his body. Through their bond, Minja felt his hate rise like a wave. Images flashed in her mind. Dragons in cages, dragons being hurt when they failed to obey. Dragons watching Earth burn and being unable to feel anything about it. "Control it," she whispered to herself, and to Stormwing. "We have a mission. The Naru dragons received their orders and moved as one toward the Earth dragons. Their blue fire lit up the dark sky. "Break formation," Minji called to her team. "They can't adapt to chaos." The 5 Earth dragons scattered in different directions. The Naru dragons tried to follow all of them at once, their perfect lines breaking apart. Confusion spread through their ranks. Minje and Stormwing dove straight toward the nearest command center. 2 Naru dragons broke off to follow them. Through the bond, Minje felt Stormwing's plan. She held tight as he suddenly rolled in the air, twisting his body in a way no Naru dragon could copy. The move brought them behind their pursuers. Stormwing opened his mouth and unleashed his white fire. It hit one Naru dragon directly. The creature screamed, a sound Minje had never heard from a Naru dragon before. It wasn't just a cry of pain. It was fear, confusion. The dragon's rider fought for control as the dragon's movements became jerky and strange. "They're not just machines," Minje realized with shock. "They're alive in there, trapped." The thought had barely formed when Stormwing sent her an image. A Naru dragon with its control chip removed, flying free. "You want to save them?" she asked, surprised. The feeling that came back was complex. Hate for what was done to them, but not hate for the dragons themselves. They reached the command center tower. Minji jumped from Stormwing's back onto a platform, the bomb pack secured to her suit. As she planted the explosives, she looked back at the battle in the sky. The Earth dragons fought wild and free, each using different moves, while the Naru dragons struggled to maintain their patterns. It wasn't a fair fight. The Earth dragons were winning. Minje finished setting the bombs and jumped back onto Stormwing. As they flew away, she pressed. Stormwing landed on the roof of the mystery building. The structure was round with a clear dome on top. Through the dome, Minje could see large containers being moved by Naru scientists. They worked quickly, as if trying to save something important. "Stay here," she told Stormwing. "I'll go inside and see what they're hiding." She felt his worry through their bond, but also his agreement. He would watch for danger from above. Minje found a door on the roof and slipped inside. The air was warm and damp, like the dragon hatching room back at the colony. She moved silently down a staircase until she reached a large room filled with containers. "Eggs," she whispered in shock. "Dragon eggs." But these were not like any dragon eggs she had seen before. They were massive, almost twice the size of Stormwing's egg had been, and they glowed with a strange purple light. A Naru scientist walked past her hiding spot, speaking into a device. "The new strain is ready. Enhanced obedience programming, enhanced firepower, enhanced size. They will find and destroy the human colony within days of hatching." Minje felt sick. These were a new type of dragon made to hunt down her people. She took pictures with her suit's camera, then turned to leave. As she reached the stairs, alarms sounded. She had been spotted. "Stormwing," she called through their bond. "I need to get out now." She ran up the stairs as doors slammed shut behind her. When she reached the roof, Stormwing was waiting, his wings spread wide. But they were not alone. Hovering above the building was the largest dragon Minje had ever seen. It was purple and black, with a wingspan at least twice Stormwing's. On its back sat a Naru in ornate armor, clearly a commander. That must be their leader, Minje thought as she jumped onto Stormwing's back. The commander's dragon let out a roar that shook the air. It was a challenge. Stormwing answered with his own roar, then shot straight up into the sky. The commander's dragon followed. "We need to get back to the others," Minje said, but through their bond, she felt Stormwing's determination. He would not run from this fight. The 2 dragons circled each other high above the facility. The commander's dragon moved with the same perfect precision as all Naru dragons, but it was faster, stronger. Its blue fire came in controlled bursts, forcing Stormwing to dodge constantly. "We can't beat it with strength," Minje realized. "We need to outsmart it." Through their bond, she shared a plan with Stormwing. The blue dragon understood at once. Stormwing flew straight at the commander's dragon, as if attacking head-on. The larger dragon opened its mouth, ready to blast fire. At the last second, Stormwing twisted in a complex spiral that no Naru dragon could copy. He shot past the larger dragon and came up behind it. But instead of attacking, Stormwing did something unexpected. He reached out with his mind, the same way he connected with Minja. Minja felt the strange connection form, a bridge between Stormwing and the enemy dragon. Images flowed across it, too fast for her to follow completely. She caught glimpses of strange planets, ancient forests, dragons flying free before the Naru found them. The commander's dragon froze in midair. Its rider pulled at controls, shouted commands, but the dragon didn't move. "What's happening?" Minja asked. The answer came not in words but in understanding. Stormwing was showing the other dragon the truth, that all dragons, even the Narus, came from the same ancient species, a species that once lived on Earth millions of years ago, before leaving for the stars. The Naru had found these space dragons and enslaved them, breeding out their free will generation by generation. When humans started their own dragon program, treating dragons as partners rather than slaves, the Naru attacked Earth, not from strategic need, but from fear that free dragons would remember and seek justice for their enslaved kin. The commander's dragon turned its massive head to look at its rider. For the first time ever, a Naru dragon's eyes held something new. Anger. "It's remembering," Minja whispered. "It's waking up." 1 month after the battle at the breeding facility, Minja stood in the colony's main meeting hall with Tai and Commander June. The room was filled with people waiting to hear their plan. "It's ready," Ta said, holding up a small vial of clear liquid. "The virus will not harm the dragons. It will only shut down the control chips in their brains." "And you're sure it will work?" June asked. "We tested it on scales from the commander's dragon," Minja said, "the one that broke free during our battle." That day had changed everything. After the commander's dragon woke up, it had thrown its rider off and joined Stormwing in destroying the breeding facility. Together, they had freed many other dragons before escaping back to the colony. Now the commander's dragon, named Nightwing by the colony, lived with them. It had helped Tai understand how the control chips worked and how to stop them. "We can't win a direct war against the Naru," June told the crowd. "But we don't need to. We just need to free their dragons." The plan was bold but simple. Small teams of riders would take the virus to every Naru dragon facility they could find. One drop on a dragon's scales would spread to others through touch. Soon, all Naru dragons would be free. "What will happen when the dragons wake up?" someone asked. Minja looked at Stormwing, who stood at the back of the room, his blue scales glowing softly. "They will remember," she said, "and they will choose what to do with that memory." 3 days later, Minja and Stormwing led the first team to a Naru outpost. They carried the virus in special containers attached to their flight suits. The other 4 original riders flew with them, along with Nightwing, who now had a human rider too, a young pilot named Dowan. "We go in quiet," Minja told them through the mental link. "Touch as many dragons as possible with the virus, then get out." The mission went perfectly. By the time the Naru realized something was wrong, their dragons were already changing. Their perfect formations broke. Their empty eyes filled with feeling. And then, one by one, they turned on their masters. Over the next month, the virus spread far and wide. Reports came in from across Naru space of dragons breaking free, of Naru ships being attacked by their own weapons. The empire that had destroyed Earth was falling apart from within. Then came the day they had waited for. The Naru Supreme Commander's ship entered the Proxima system with a fleet of 20 vessels. It was their last, desperate attack to destroy the humans who had started this revolution. Minja and all the riders took to the sky on their dragons. They were badly outnumbered, but as the Naru ships approached, their bay doors opened and dragons poured out. Hundreds of them. They flew not in the tight, perfect formations of before, but in wild, free patterns. "They're already free," Minja said with wonder. The virus reached them. Through Stormwing's eyes, she saw the Supreme Commander's ship, and on its bridge, panic. The Naru had lost control of all their dragons. Their greatest weapon had become their greatest danger. Stormwing let out a roar that echoed across space. Every dragon answered, a thunderous sound of freedom. Then, as one mind but with many bodies, they turned toward the Naru ships. What followed was not a battle but a revolution. The freed dragons tore into the ships that had carried their cages. The Supreme Commander's vessel tried to flee but was surrounded by the very creatures he had enslaved for centuries. Minji watched with mixed feelings. This was justice, but it was also terrible. Through her bond with Stormwing, she felt not joy but something deeper. The closing of a circle, the balancing of scales. 3 days later, the fighting stopped. The Naru Empire was gone. In its place were free dragons and free humans trying to understand what came next. What will they do now? June asked, watching dragons of all colors flying above the colony. Live, Ta said simply. Make their own choices. Minja looked at Stormwing, who looked back with intelligent eyes. And remember, she added, so that it never happens again. As the sun set on Proxima b, humans and dragons gathered together under the stars. Not as masters in weapons, but as equals, as friends. The dragons the Naru Bred had known only obedience, but the ones who now filled the sky knew freedom. And they would never forget what it cost to win it.